Good morning, Madeline Tynan from the Tynan Motor Group. Yes, we're here today with Jill Deering, the CEO of Clever Care Now, and we're here to empower people. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Madeline.
Now, I just want to run through, obviously this is unprecedented what's been happening. You are the CEO of Clever Care Now. Can you just give me a little bit of background about Clever Care Now, where it came from and where it is now?
Well, Clever Care Now started life 60 years ago as a home nursing service through one of the councils and back over at the St George area in and around Bexley, and it's evolved and grown, and 2 years ago now we decided that our services were expanding and we needed to demonstrate that we could provide different and varied programs, and we felt the original name, which was Nurses on Wheels, probably didn't...
Outgrew it, yeah?
Yeah. And so we decided that Clever Care Now, so care and it's clever and it's yours and it's now, we decided Clever Care Now better represented what we could deliver and reflected our expanded services.
So what you do at Clever Care is actually give the aged a worthiness and a sense of love, and you get them out in the community, you take them on bus rides, educational things, all sorts of things with the aged. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I guess broadly, our services are broken into sort of three areas. First and foremost, our core services are home nursing services, and they're provided to anybody over the age of 65 in and around the St George and Sutherland Shire, and that's our core business. Another service we provide is what we call our day tripper program, and that's for the socially isolated over 65. And then we have what we call a community business program, which provides health checks and flu vaccinations. So the home nursing and sort of business type of services.
Okay, so let's go back 6 weeks now. Boom, all happened. What happened to Clever Care? You'd just gone through the whole opening, you had the Prime Minister there, you did the whole thing, and then we've gone into lockdown. How's that blown? And you're a not-for-profit, so you have to raise the money to actually go out into the community. What happened? What did you do?
I've run out of adjectives.
Okay, I agree with you.
So putting that to one side, once we dealt with the shock, the anxiety, and that was palpable not only in our office but in the community, I have to say our nurses have been magnificent. The first thing they think about are their patients. They, didn't think about themselves, but they said, let's get on, let's do this. And I have to say they rallied. So did the administration staff and so did all the managers. So for us it was about keeping the wheels turning, making sure we saw the patients and providing support to our frontline staff, our nurses.
So, but what did you do there? Did you have to put people off? I mean, it's a not-for-profit, so you have to, the money just doesn't keep coming. What did you do?
Look, fortunately, our business is a mixed business. We have some government support and some government funding. We get federal money, which is great. We also get state money, and we're part of the local health district service, which is great. That's New South Wales Department of Health. So they've obviously continued our grants to us, which is wonderful. And so that's, helped us keep going. No, to this point, we have not had to put anybody off. The wheels are still turning. Our other service, which is a patient transport service, which is a for-profit side of the business, where we go and pick up people in a nursing home, or we take them out for the day in terms of if they've got doctor's appointments or a wedding or a funeral or whatever. That side of the business has, fallen off a cliff. So for us, those nurses, we've redeployed into our home nursing service, which has been great. But eventually, depending on how this goes, we will have to reevaluate how we continue to keep people gainfully employed and keep paying them. But at this stage, we've managed to absorb people into our non-for-profit side. The other side of the business for us in terms of keeping the wheels turning is also to do with making sure that, you keep your costs down, you minimise, your expenses, and at this stage we've been fairly lucky. As I say, the government grants have kept us going.
So the other side of your business, you've got into doing flu vaccinations and going into companies like our company at Tynan Motors and doing that. Has that taken off? Have you seen that change?
Virtually a 90-degree curve. Basically we went from what was a quite modest program, and now as soon as government and also the media and I think generally people wanted control back in their lives, and they realised by having a flu vaccination could minimise perhaps another illness that they may get later in the year. So we've had an exponential increase in people wanting flu vaccinations.
So how are you doing that though, Jill, with the social distancing when you're coming into a company? How are you approaching that?
Abiding by the social distancing rules. Our nurses have personal protective gear on from head to toe. So they come in and they're obviously protected, but they also provide protection to your staff. We also only ever have one person in the room where the person's getting the vaccination. The rest of the staff either have to be back at their desks or outside or practicing social distancing somewhere else. And we have our equipment in another area. So I guess the short answer is we've put in a range of safeguards to ensure not only our staff's protection, but also those staff of yours that are getting flu vaccinations.
So the government yesterday made some comments the elderly being in homes and being distant from their families and not allowed visitors and opening that up. How are you going to bring that back slowly within your environment and allow your patients back on to their day trips to feel worthy yet again? Because a lot of them are so isolated and scared and frightened. How have you been what have you changed in the way you speak to them?
Well, we've introduced a new program. Immediately, when we couldn't take our day trippers out and about, we've introduced a Are You OK program, which, it's a fairly familiar type of words these days because a lot of people are saying, are you OK? So what we do, our nurse and our bus driver, who would normally have taken our clients out for the day, are ringing people and saying, are you OK? Sometimes it's a chat, sometimes we pick up some bread and milk for them, sometimes we go to the chemist, sometimes we drop off some books or magazines or just something to let them know that they're still connected. We don't go into the home, but we certainly call them and see how they're going. And hopefully as government looses the restrictions around the elderly and clubs and where we take people for the day, we can slowly bring them online. We're sort of starting to plan for that. We normally have 8 on the bus, we'll probably reduce it to 4. So they've got the distancing. Instead of going to the local, Club Central at Menai or at Hurstville, we'll probably go and buy some fish and chips and sit down at Cronulla Beach. So we will need to modify the programs, but it's important to get them back out, socialising, connecting and just being involved and connected to their local community.
And Jill, you've obviously got a board, being a not-for-profit. How has that board influenced a lot of your decision making? So obviously you being the CEO, you then have to take that to the board. Have you seen a change in that as well too, of what they're opening up to?
Sure, yes. I think for everybody it's uncharted waters. And certainly the initial stage, I guess you can break it into sort of 3 stages. The first stage was about how are we going to continue to provide services, what can we do to support you, how can we continue to keep the wheels turning. So for me, yes, I'm on the day-to-day sort of operational side of things. The board have been very supportive and we have a mixed board, which is great. We have some health professionals, we also have some corporate and business people, and all of them have just come together and sort of said, look, whatever we can do, let us know. You're there, you're at the coalface, help, get the business going and keep it going, but let us know what we need to do.
Do you think that going forward that the business plan will change after this, or will you settle back down to the business plan that you were running before the virus hit us all?
Probably a bit of both. I think there'll be obviously that core service where we provide home nursing, but I think this social distancing and I think being aware of people's individual needs, particularly the elderly. Not that we didn't before, but I think it's more acute now. And I think not only for us, but everybody in the community. And I think people will reassess, reevaluate, and I think businesses, non-for-profits or profits, will do business slightly differently, which is not a bad thing.
When you say that, what do you mean? You mean the fundraising side of it?
Yes, look, I think yes, the fundraising for us is an interesting sort of concept because we get some government funding. Our fundraising comes from a lot of the local clubs, which is great, and they've lost patronage because they've had to close their doors. But I think I've been in discussions with a number of them and they've sort of said, look, we'll be able to support you, probably not to the same extent, but we can, continue to support you. So for us, our fundraising and our support will continue, thankfully, but it will look slightly different and probably with some perhaps restrictions. And as I say, we'll need to modify programs, but our core business, which is supported by federal and state government, will continue.
It's fantastic. I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
It's going to be a very strange world going into the future, but I think what you're doing, especially in that space of the elderly, they're the ones that really need us at this time. They've been isolated and are really struggling. It's lovely to see that your program has expanded to include them, to make sure that they're contacted and they're felt a worth that they are, and they know that they're loved out there, because a lot of them don't have family that you've been touching. I think you have over about 2,000 people a year that you actually take out. That's a big part of your business, and they're the people that have really missed out when this has happened.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Jill. It's been lovely talking to you.
Thank you.